Anglican International Development, or AID, supports Christian communities in parts of Africa that are today struggling to cope with the catastrophic humanitarian and developmental fallout from conflict. We support local Christian communities to help transform lives for now and eternity through practical projects in the areas of education, clean water and sanitation, poverty alleviation through microfinance, and Christian youth work. AID always strives to strengthen local churches and to enable people to support themselves and to escape reliance on support from aid agencies, including from AID itself. AID works in partnership with churches in South Sudan, specifically in Bor, Yei and Juba, in refugee camps in northern Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Sudan's rugged Nuba Mountains, and in Marsabit in northern Kenya. In each of these areas, many people are suffering as a result of conflict, acute poverty and climate change. In each location, ordinary families are struggling just to get enough food to give their children one decent meal per day. In South Sudan, domestic food prices have risen drastically. The UN reports that the price of white sorghum, the staple in South Sudan, has risen nearly sevenfold between April 2020 and June 2023. The combined effects of continued conflict and growing food insecurity are borne out in the current grim statistics for South Sudan. Out of its population of 12.4 million, 2.3 million, or nearly 20%, have fled to neighbouring countries. Of the remainder who have stayed in South Sudan, 9.1 million are classed by the UN as people in need, and of these, 7.8 million are currently living in a state of acute food insecurity. Tragically, 1.4 million children are malnourished. Ironically, this widespread food scarcity is occurring in areas of rich agricultural potential. Take, for example, the Diocese of Panyana, where the Keliko people come from in the far south of South Sudan. It's a very fertile region, known for its cultivation of cash crops like tea and coffee, and food crops ranging from sweet potatoes and maize to sorghum and cassava. But in 2016, the community had to flee for their lives as the area was overtaken by violence. Properties and churches were looted, but most terrible of all was the indiscriminate killing as well as the rape of countless women. Today, most of the Keliko remain stuck in refugee camps in northern Uganda and the DRC, since there is a very real risk to life to those who dare return home. AID visited them in the camps in northern Uganda in early April 2023. Bishop Seme of Panyana started a project in the refugee camps called BEBA, Be Empowered by Agriculture. He told us how a Bible translation project into the Keliko language, alongside agriculture support, provides spiritual and physical nourishment for his people.
And the big impact of this translation project, it has made many people to read the Word of God in their own mother tongue and understand it fully. Yeah. Because by then they read in Bangala, they don't understand. They read in Bari, they don't understand. They read in English, others don't understand. So now when you read completely in Keliko, it goes straight to our mind. That's the big impact. Therefore, people come and say, yes, that's our language. I understood it. What we are looking for is a holistic ministry. In the holistic ministry, I mean both physical and spiritual, one has to be strong. And when we have the Bibles in our hands, and we need the physical part to be built, and the physical part to be built is whereby when we have food, when we have other resources for the body, so that this same body will be built both spiritual and physical. So we are lacking the other part a little bit because we have lost all our resources, and the things becomes a bit hard to support the physical part. Like when we come to food itself, when there's no food, when you are hungry, you cannot hear the word of God. It becomes very hard.
Panyana's refugees have faced drastic cuts in food rations from the World Food Programme over the past 4 years, down from 12 kilograms per person per month, with many now living on just 4.5 kilograms of food a month. this is not enough to survive. Returning home to grow food on their own land may be tempting to some, but it comes with terrible risks. Esther, one of the Wycliffe Bible translators, explained that her brother went back last year and was killed by soldiers. AID worked up a plan with Bishop Seme to expand agriculture. As refugees with no land of their own, they need help to rent plots of land to grow their crops. They need rubber boots to protect their feet from thorns and snakes as they clear the farmland. They need seeds and tools. If they cannot feed themselves, they will go hungry. AID wants to set up 6 agriculture projects in the 5 countries where we operate, mostly in places where other organisations aren't working and where people feel abandoned. In Joppa, a suburb of Juba, in Rokon, 54 miles west of Juba, in Yei in the south of South Sudan, with the scattered refugees from Panyana diocese spread across the DRC and northern Uganda, in the Nuba Mountains in the south of Sudan, and Marsabit in northern Kenya. All of these projects will be established with local communities taking the lead. The long-term goal is to enable people to grow their own food, whilst at the same time helping them to recover from the scars of conflict and to rebuild their lives. Importantly, the projects will be geared to setting up self-sustaining agriculture, so that after several years of support, our partners can thrive without ongoing foreign funding.
It has given us much hope that by the grace of God, this project, if God can expand, I know it will be of great help. By some years, it is my belief that Panyana Diocese is going to supply food to other countries.